Welcome back to Laughing at Salty Reviews. We will be doing a Laughing at Salty Reviews on Spider-Man PS4. A bit of a disclaimer, I am a bit sick, but I'm going to power through this video anyway, and also there is a lot of background noise, so I apologize in advance. Laughing at Salty Reviews is the series where I go into the Metacritic user score and I see the low reviews for a high profile game, and I decide if I agree or disagree with that comment. So let's begin with the first comment from Ruben Solaris 01. He says, Spider-Man combat in this game is always the same. It is too repetitive, even in boss fights. The only thing that I like in this game is the history, because I didn't enjoy the gameplay that much. I don't know what he means by the history. Maybe he's saying that he liked the story, but he didn't like the gameplay. I guess that's reasonable, that's your opinion. But he says the game is too repetitious as well, which I kind of agree with. The combat could have been spruced up a little bit more, but I don't think that justifies a 4 out of 10. I'm sorry, I think the game has a lot more credibility, a lot more replay value than you're giving it, and to focus on that merit of just the combat being a negative, yes, you can dock a point, but I don't think that warrants a 4 out of 10. Let's go to a 0 out of 10, which is from Been Around, and he says, the game is shockingly bad. The game makes no sense with text flying off the screen before you can read it, and I can read really fast, and tutorial fights that kill you before you have a chance to try what you're supposed to be learning. Then, once you learn a move, you inexplicably can't use it until the next battle. Traveling via web through the city was also ridiculous. Things just happen erratically, no matter which button you press. A part of your brain tells you you just need to get the hang of it, but after 10 minutes you realize there's nothing to learn. Just mash buttons and pretend you're controlling what's going on. 2 hours into it, I'm not ready to throw this game across the room, but close. Okay, so from what I'm reading, this guy doesn't like the tutorial. He finds it to be shockingly bad. It goes by way too fast. He feels like everything is inconsistent, from the web swinging to learning certain moves, right? I don't think you paid distinct attention, because by the time I got to Fist, I knew practically everything I needed to know in that boss fight. I think it's pretty linear. The only problem I had is finding out how the perch takedown worked, because the game only tells you like twice from my experience, and then I didn't know how to do silent takedowns for at least 10 minutes. But I found out rather quickly. The game pops things up just when it's convenient, just when you're entering like side missions or swinging around, getting used to the controls. It happens quite a bit. Eventually, when you get to like in-game stuff, I think most tutorial stuff stops popping up, but by that point you already know like everything there is about Spider-Man PS4, so you don't need it. I think that is very convenient. Sometimes players need a constant reminder, a visual reminder, because some people, you know, they think differently than other people. They might need to be constantly reminded because they might not get it the first time around, and I think that's great. Some tutorials, they make you read like 500 pages, and sometimes people just won't get it from there. So I think there's no issue with learning how the controls work and how the moves work in Spider-Man PS4. There's a lot of stuff that tells you how this stuff works, even in pause menus, so I don't get how you don't understand. The next thing is you saying that the web slinging is ridiculous. Things happen erratically. Yes, Spider-Man does get stuck on some things. His movement, his locomotion is slowed down at some points when working his way up a metal tower, but that is small potatoes. The web swinging is fine. It's one of the best aspects of the game. Honestly, like, no fanboy bullshit. Like, just getting stuck on stuff, I can see that criticism, but the web swinging is not erratic, it's not ridiculous. I don't agree with that point at all. Here's another comment from Gainesville Guy. He gave the game a 3 out of 10. Another mediocre superhero game. I say it was too short, but actually I got bored before I even finished the very short campaign. These superhero games are so copy and paste these days. More of the same. Batman's traversal was almost identical. So when he says superhero games, does he notice the gap that happened between certain superhero games? I think the last one I played was Batman Arkham Knight, but that's besides the point. He says that Batman's traversal was almost identical, but Batman is slower compared to Spider-Man. I mean, that's a fact. Batman's traversal is a bit slower. When you get the grapnel boost, it does help you a lot, but Spider-Man zips around New York really fast. Batman takes a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's not the same exact thing. Also, the campaign itself is not short. Actually, it took me like doing everything. I'm the guy that likes to do everything before I got my platinum, obviously. I like to do every single mission, every single thing. That took me like 30 hours. I've been live streaming Spider-Man PS4 for quite a while. I think it was like almost a week before I got my platinum. So yeah, that's not short to me. I think the campaign roughly translates to about 15 to 20 hours. That's pretty long, man. I don't know what you're saying here, but your comment is funny. I just don't think that it's a 3 out of 10. Let's move on to another comment here from BN333. He says, not as good as the past few games, which is erroneous because the last game we had was the Amazing Spider-Man 2 and that game was dog shit. The combat is pretty bad when looking at the past entries, even the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. Again, 2 is garbage. Hit ratio is very off. Spider-Man singles out enemies midair, but it gets boring. And he doesn't lock on well towards other enemies in previous experiences. Now, to play devil's advocate, I kind of agree with this point that sometimes the hit ratio can be off. It could be a little wonky, like Spider-Man does a kick on someone and there isn't a multi-hitting combo. It doesn't hit the other opponent standing next to him. Sometimes that could be a bit annoying, and sometimes I do wish there was a lock on to make things easier. If the enemies can lock onto you with missiles, then you should be able to have your dedicated lock on button just in case you want to single out more enemies and focus on attacking that way. And I think that attacks should have an area of effect, but it's not like you can't crowd control enemies in Spider-Man PS4. You can easily pick the electrocution gadget, the taser. You can use that and you can tase like multiple enemies at the same time. So free flow does exist in Spider-Man PS4. He also says that Spider-Man feels like you're playing Eddie Gordo from Tekken with less actual hits and more dodge. I mean, it's nothing wrong with spider dodging in mid-combat. Obviously, some players are preventing the idea of being hit. It's really hard to get those perfect spider dodge counters, but I think that is what makes it a little bit more diverse and different from the Arkham style combat where fucking blue lightning flames appear on people's heads and you could do an easy takedown or dodge. So I don't mind that at all. I think that is what makes the combat really, really interesting to do. I mean, if we just summarize most of these comments, they are exactly some of the shit that Frank Mount has been saying. Blah blah blah, awful game, blah blah blah, the game looks ugly even though it got an upgrade according to Digital Foundry, blah blah blah, the frame rate is locked to 30 FPS, 60 FPS on the PS2 was a standard, even though Spider-Man on the PS2, even Ultimate Spider-Man, ran at 30 FPS. You fucking nincompoop. Blah blah blah, another Arkham ripoff. How, fam? There are are things that are relative to Spider-Man that have been implemented in this game that makes it different from Arkham. You might have some sort of argument with the combat, but you don't everywhere else. Blah blah blah. The game is dull. Web swinging is dull. No, it's not. The web swinging in this game feels just as good as Spider-Man 2. Blah blah blah. Some fucking boring comment. The game is boring. Blah blah blah. I don't like Spider-Man. Well, fuck your opinion. The comments are the same, but now Spurg Lord autism garbage, so I might continue with 3 more and I'm done. This is from Fuvis. I hate this game. I hate it. Why did you buy it? Nothing but unrelenting Twitch combo moves, no time to breathe or recover during action sequences, even at the easiest level, so you're getting body on easy. Revoke your gamer card now. Complete frustration. For calibration purposes, I'm in my 50s. Nigga, you old as fuck, but I play a lot of PS4 games. I love The Witcher 3, Assassin's Creed Origins, Horizon Zero Dawn, Uncharted 4, and God of War. Notice the problem with the games he listed. God of War still requires input, and it has combos either way. Uncharted 4 is a precise shooter, so I don't understand why you have a problem with this game, but you don't have a problem with those games you just listed. I love open world games in general. Fighting is fine, okay? I hate Twitch games that require teen level reflexes and muscle memory of large numbers of combo moves. Teen level reflexes. Yo, I'm like almost 30 and I can still play games just fine. I don't get it. Maybe he has like bad hand-eye coordination. I don't know. That could be the issue. But then again, you could tell from seeing some of the gameplay trailers, like no disrespect, like no shade. You can see from the gameplay trailers that this was going to be a fast and furious game. Like the gameplay was going to be at a level where, you know, Spider-Man is jumping around. Spider-Man is fast. Do you know nothing about the character? He was yelling at his TV. I'm not even gonna read the rest of his comment because it's so hilarious. It's so ridiculous. This is like someone screaming, "Get off my lawn!" You know, "Get off my lawn, kids! Spider-Man is way too fucking quick. Get off my lawn with that web swinging bullshit." Like. Oh man, old man, you cracked me up, man. Your comment was great. Again, if you don't like these games, I will recommend the only thing you should do is try to, you know, cut off the quick time events. That might help. Try to cut off puzzles. You might be too old for that. And then, you know, just play on easy. You should be able to pace enemies on easy once you upgrade Spider-Man. I'm pretty sure that's why Insomniac has those options there for accessibility. I don't get your issues. Again, if you really don't like the game, just stop playing it. In general, it's no reason to give the game a 2 because you can't fucking press an input right. Anyway, let's move on to the next comment here. Hold on a second. The next comment is from My Tokyo, and he says the game looks great. I agree. The controls are very good. Not great, not infamous great. I don't understand that because it takes Cole McGrath like 8 years to climb a building with those controls, so the locomotion options for Spider-Man PS4, even prototype, were better than infamous. Lots to do. The cons: repetitious and banal. It can be a bit repetitive. Grinding side quests. Yes, the side quests aren't that great because I don't care about grinding for, you know, birds and shit like that. I don't care about vaccinations of the city. I care about being Spider-Man and fighting crooks, and I feel like the side missions could have entailed that a lot more. I did enjoy Taskmaster, and I also enjoyed the big guy Tombstone, but I didn't enjoy like the boring side missions. And also, he said the puzzles weren't that great. You can skip the puzzles, not a big issue. He also said, I was tired of this combat system at the end of Batman Arkham. I don't need to play it again. Again, subjective. I like the combat system. I feel it varies enough to be different from Batman. He says quick time events is an issue. You can cut that off. You can cut off quick time events. The controls is great when it's great, but when it's not, it's frustrating. I can't think of one time where the controls like failed me. I just really can't. I can't think of one moment where I said, you know, this is really bad. So I don't know. Was Spidey always this annoying? Yes. Spider-Man does quips. Yes. Spider-Man talks shit. Yes. Spider-Man can be a serious character when responsibility comes into the picture. Have you read a Spider-Man comic? Have you watched a Spider-Man movie? It's a game, not a comic. When you read a comic or watch Spidey and know in advance what's going to happen is bad enough, but being forced to help Dr. Otto Octavius become Doc Octopus when you have no idea where this will go is surprisingly really frustrating. Okay, I don't think that this guy understood what they were trying to do with the relationship between Peter Parker and Dr. Otto Octavius. This time around, I think they wanted the player to be more immersed in the fact that this guy could become a villain, and he eventually does. But the problem here is that Peter Parker looks up to him. Dr. Otto Octavius isn't just a cookie cutter villain, he is a friend of Peter Parker. He's someone that Peter looks up to. So it's heartbreaking over time when you realize the research that's being done degrades Otto's brain. It makes him crazy. It could be part of the process of becoming Doc Ock, and he tries his hardest to prevent it, saying that yes, this will fuck you up. This will fuck up your mind if you continue this research. But Doc Ock, being the arrogant person he is, he decides to keep going anyway, and eventually that breeds way to a new villain. A villain that has like sympathetic goals is something that is relatable. That makes a great villain. I think that Doc Ock, he wants to right the wrongs of the past and try his best to prove that not only he's right going this way, but he also wants to use the devil's breath for his own means, and Peter Parker has his own means as well when you find out later on that the devil's breath being released into the city, this also affects Aunt May, so the vaccine is needed to save her life. He has something personal at stake. He has something that he wants, and eventually this leads to the giant clash at the end of the game. It's really emotional because you don't want these two to really clash, right? But they have to because they have personal stakes involved. You can even see that Dr. Otto Octavius isn't fully a dick because after the experiments discovered by Norman Osborn, you know, after you find out that Norman has been working on metahumans and trying to fix his son, trying to find a cure, everyone has personal stakes involved. Even Dr. Otto Octavius didn't agree with it at first, so you can see like he's kind of a hypocrite. He didn't agree, but now he's like fully, you know, he's fully in line with having these cybernetic arms and enhancements, and things get crazy. I just think that you didn't understand where he was coming from. You didn't understand the character motivations, and you didn't understand what made the conflict so strong at the end of the game. It's really weird to explain, but I hope I did it the best I possibly could. Keep in mind, I haven't played Spider-Man PS4 in a week, but I do remember that plot point. Yes, this is spoilers. Let's continue on. I will put a spoiler warning in the beginning of the video. Again, he says nothing has been done here that hasn't been done better in any other video game. Again, you know, I agree, you know, it's a typical Spider-Man fare, but it doesn't mean that it's not a great one. And I think many Spider-Man games, they lack that essence of a great story. I think the only one that really sort of stood out was the PS1 game, but even then, the stakes were really raised in Spider-Man PS4 when it came to the story. So yeah, I really enjoyed this game for trying something a bit different. And he said, how did the developers not play God of War and just shelve this? I don't get what your comment means. Like, God of War and Spider-Man are both different games, different genres. They might be open world, but it doesn't even play the same. So why would you make that comparison? I don't get it. Anyway, I think that's going to be it. The comments are mostly the same, just people saying I don't like the graphics when the graphics got upgraded. I don't like the fact that it's the same as Arkham when that's not entirely true. And a lot of people said, you know, same superhero game. Like, what did you expect? It's a Spider-Man game. He's a superhero. He has powers. I just don't understand some of these complaints. Again, some of these people also have like valid nitpicking and complaints. Like, I do agree the game is buggy. I do agree the combat could have been better. I don't agree with the 30 FPS thing because, again, you know, most Spider-Man games are 30 FPS. Anyway, my voice is dying now, so it is time for me to get the fuck out of here on the fucking Nimbus cloud and get some water. This is Renegade Operative signing off. I hope you enjoyed my laughing at salty comments. Again, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I will get to you as soon as I can. I apologize if it's not super soon because, you know, I got like 4,000 subs. That's crazy. I encourage all of you people, if you can, to check out my previous video and check out all my links in the description. If you want to reach me through social media, you can do that. Hit me up. Let's play some games. Let's do this shit. And I will see you guys soon. Later.